Alright, my name is Jamie Curran. This is the start of screen of my game, Cookie Catastrophe. Um, for the project goals, I wanted to conceptualize and create a constantly moving 2D platformer, as that seemed to be one of the more popular genres among the Android Play Store. So I wanted to make something that I could have more experience in, like, for future reference. And I wanted to get all of my aesthetics done and all of my art assets done before I got working on the script. So I actually started in December to make time for that. In the first stages, I wanted to make just a normal 2D platformer, but in the end I decided against it considering the clunky controls. But my idea for that was a more parodical type game. It was Earl Grey's Marvelous Party, and it was set in a central Victorian London, and it was meant to be like a lot like the original Mario Bros. Like where it's just single screen and knock down enemies and collect things. And then after that, I decided maybe I'd work toward a 3D, like more of a 3D game. I really like the idea of VR, so I wanted to make something that would be suitable for that. So I drew up the scope about a first-person walking simulator, like going around sort of a deserted island. But I decided that after evaluating my own 3D modeling skills, I reckoned that wasn't going to get me done in time. So the one I finally went with was the one on the first slide there, which was Cookie Catastrophe. It's set in a bountiful candyland with bright colours and a happy atmosphere, mostly directed towards children in that, from my experience, I've seen a lot of kids in, say, supermarkets sitting in their parents' trolleys, like playing games in their Android tablet. So the GDD for that is the target age is 3+, because it's like mainly bright colours and light-hearted imagery, and based in a Candyland, so there's not really much to frighten kids in there. Then the game story is that the cookie decides he wants to go on a journey to see the world. And he starts in the Cape of Cakes until ending up in the Double Bubble Docks. Then the competitive products would be things like Geometry Dash, for its constantly moving mechanic, and Temple Run because of all of the pickups that I plan to have in the game. This is the mood board for it. My concept of the character started off with just a regular cookie, which then I conceptualized in Illustrator and colored in Photoshop. Then for the environment, these are the platforms I have. It's a sprite sheet of platforms I made, and they were basically inspired by just regular cakes with like the zigzaggy pattern on the base. And the entire sort of world of it was based on a game that was in the movie Wreck-It Ralph, and that inspired some of my assets, like the spikes being candy canes, for example. And in art class, much to my joy, I was able to get a bunch of sweets in to aid me in my initial level design. That was delicious. The resource budget is the asset resolutions would be a minimum of 150 by 150 and a max of 1921 by 1082. The platforms have 19 variants, each at 295 by 294 pixels per platform. The player is 430 by 410, the background is 1921 by 1062, and the background elements are 1912 by 698 and 1921 by 558. The hardware specs, I went on the internet and saw which was the most, like, the oldest operating system I could find. That was on the NatPC M7 Android tablet, which had an operating system of Android 2.3 Gingerbread, a RAM of 512 megabytes, and a resolution of 800 by 400. That was to give me an idea of the minimum, like, requirements of what I would be making the game for. Then the max was on the exact other side of that. It's operating system Android 5.0, RAM 4 gigs, and resolution 24.8 by 1536. Distribution I plan to use is mainly putting the APK file on the official website that we're going to make for the game. Otherwise, try and get a license for distributing via the Google Play Store. If all else fails, just email distribution, having an email to contact on the website, and then if I get requests, then I just send the APK file by email.
Start to wrap it up now, please, Jim.
Okay. And schedule is, I started it in December. That went on to early January, and that was getting all the art assets done and stuff. Then from the 8th to the 22nd last month, I got a level done, and that continued into the 5th of this month. Then I gave myself 2 weeks to make another level, considering I already had most of the scripts I needed. Then after that, I'm going to compile and create the music and sound effects, and then construct the last level and prepare it for testing. And the copyright, you got to use your own work. The open source assets that I was looking at in the beginning were going to have to be credited, so I decided to use my own stuff. And so far with testing, I've had a bit of trouble with the APK file, but currently working through that. And all the game problems I've had has just been with the camera tracking and stuff like that. And yeah, so thank you for listening.